Hey folks, I'm John Campea with The Movie Blog, and this is my quick review for the brand new Peter Jackson film, the long-awaited The Hobbit. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Hobbit is actually the book that comes before The Lord of the Rings. It's an origin story, if you will, about how Bilbo Baggins came to know Gandalf the Wizard and ultimately came to be in possession of the ring that everybody made such a big fuss about in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, before I talk about the movie itself, let me take a moment to address this whole issue of the 48 frames per second thing that everybody on the internet seems to be talking about. Yes, it is distracting. Yes, it makes the green screen effects look bad. Yes, it looks like homemade video. I personally don't like it, but having said that, all this talk about it making people sick is just kind of ridiculous. Look, if you want to see it in 48 frames per second, you go ahead. If you're worried about it, most screens aren't showing the film in 48 frames per second. They're showing it in 24 frames per second, and therefore you'll be just fine. With that out of the way, let's go on and talk about the movie itself. I loved it. I really loved it. The Hobbit is the first legit book I read as a kid. It holds a very special place in my heart, so obviously there's a huge potential for letdown. But I'm happy to say that this movie delivers not only a fine movie, but a faithful adaptation of the story and the spirit of the original book while making perfect changes to it to make it fit better with the existing Lord of the Rings movies. Let's begin with Martin Freeman, who plays Bilbo Baggins, the younger version. Simply amazing. Not only does Martin truly portray a younger version of the Ian Holm performance, Ian plays the older version of Bilbo in both The Hobbit and the original The Lord of the Rings films. But he plays the subtle nuances of Bilbo so true to the literary character that every little sigh and confused look and moments of indignant shock endear him to you as a character and fills the performance with life. He was simply delightful in the role, and I look forward to seeing him in the future Hobbit films as well, because we got 2 more to go, don't forget. Ian McKellen, as always, is Gandalf the Grey. It's important to remember that while you watch the movie, this is not the more somber and purely serious Gandalf the White we're more accustomed to from the original trilogy. This is a slightly younger, gruffer, and inexperienced Gandalf the Grey. The same character, just slightly different, but absolutely wonderful nonetheless. When I had a chance to talk with Ian McKellen about The Hobbit, he mentioned to me that both he and Peter Jackson prefer Gandalf the Grey over Gandalf the White. The one that looks like he's kind of more gruff. He likes a good smoke and a mug of wine, and you can clearly see it in his performance. McKellen had loads of fun with this movie, and it shows. Richard Armitage plays the leader of the dwarves, Thorin Oakenshield, the rightful heir to be king under the mountain. Armitage plays Thorin perfectly, exuding all of the regal nobility of a dwarf prince and warrior, but at the same time, a frustrated, bitter, and angry soul who has watched his own people wander homeless and humiliated since their home and treasures were stolen from them by Smaug the dragon, while neither the humans nor the elves did anything to help. This honorable nobility and bitterness are constantly at battle within Thorin and dictate many of the decisions that he makes along the way in the film. This is a rich character that was an awful lot of fun to watch. Now, I've heard some people claim the film to be bloated, filled with too much straight narrative at times that makes the film feel slow. And I can't argue with how other critics may feel about watching the film, but for me, the time flew by. I love to watch the story of how the dwarves lost their mountain home, the tale of how Thorin defeated the White Orc at the Battle of Moria, the great and unexpected dwarf feast at Bilbo's humble little hobbit hole. To me, there is a simmering richness to all of it, and personally, I wouldn't have cut a single second out of it. To me, the 2 hours and 49-minute runtime felt like a brisk hour-and-a-half movie to me, and I did not want it to end. The visual effects were, as you'd expect from a 10-plus year newer film, much improved over the effects of the original, which were already pretty fantastic, perfectly holding up today. But it never felt like they were just using effects for the sake of using effects. They used them where they needed them, and as you can see, they felt like they needed them a lot. For me, as a fan of the Hobbit book, the movie was a wonderful and enchanting experience, whisking me back to Middle-earth and enjoying the much lighter and whimsy-filled tone of the story compared to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is a much more darker book. I loved it, and I think you will too. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey an 8.5 out of 10. For The Movie Blog, I'm John Campea.